actually return to analyze why is Saint Paul insisting that fides ex audito, that faith is from hearing. And then you are struck not only by the presence of the incidences, for example, that blessed are those who hear the word of God. The emphasis on hearing. Why do they emphasize hearing? We saw that this morning. And then there is this phenomenology of hearing the word. And this is first graphically portrayed to us in St. John, because St. John is very specific about hearing and the implication of this for faith and therefore for our meaning. That in the Gospel of St. John, in his parable about the good shepherd and his flock, there is that pointed underlining that the shepherd said, they hear my voice and they know my voice. Why is it that St. John, 1 John 1:1, yung famous text na, what we have heard, what we have seen, what we have touched, the whole process of personal encounter with Christ begins with hearing. And in his, for example, in the very first chapter, the first disciples of Jesus, I think it is 1:36, the first disciples, formerly followers of John the Baptizer, they heard him and they followed him. Iyon na naman ang very striking. And the encyclical said the following, so I'm sharing it with you. The Holy Father said, to hear a word is very, very intimately personal. There is no word that is, so to say, in abstraction or desiccated. Every word is the word that comes from the physicality and the concreteness of a being. Just as the content can only come from a specific interior. Remember, verse 9, we mentioned the word, it is the vehicle containing what is inmost in the one speaking. So we emphasize that God speaks is something. God reveals. God is disclosing Himself. God is sharing from within the mystery of Godhead. We can say that of God because that's our experience for ourselves. That's why we mentioned there are some people who do not want to speak. They do not want to open up. That's why we select sometimes. There are certain people we do not want to exchange words with because we have decided I don't want to share myself. My words will be myself. And if I give Him my word, and actually there is the idiom. Be true to your word, be true to yourself. And when we say, I give you my word, I give you myself. I am the guarantee of what I said. So, naroon na po yun. Pero, eto, na para pakinggan mo at marinig mo talaga ang salita ng sinuman. Una, yung pinakikinggan mo yung pagkatao ng nagsasalita. Sapagkat ang kanyang salita ay nagtataglay ng kanyang kaloob-looban, the core of the interior of a person. Kung kaya ang tanging sapat at adequate hearing ay nangyayari kung yung nakikinig, makapakikinig lamang siyang totoo kung bubuksan din niya ang kanyang sarili at tatanggapin niya ang pinakikinggan. Kaya nga sinasabi natin, hindi ka nakikinig. Ano ibig sabihin no, may kausap ka, meron kayong paling na gano'n, hindi ka naman nakikinig. Ibig sabihin, the speaker is not getting through because the listener, the hearer, is not actually hearing him. There is a block. There is a block. Now, the encyclical is assuming that when we When God speaks, God is truth. God is the truth. And God is sharing from within. So there can be no doubt about that. Sabi nga natin, palaging valid ng Diyos, palaging tama at maganda sa Diyos. Ang problema ay sa atin. Dito nga, sa ating pinagsasalitaan, tayo dapat na nakikinig. Tayo ba'y nakapakikinig ng tama? Upang makinig, kinakailangan magbukas tayo upang papasukin sapagkat ang kataga ng kausap mo ay parang katok sa pintuan ng iyong puso. At ang pintuang nakakandado sa loob, iyon yung classical picture that Christ is knocking at the door and there is no handle outside because it can only be opened from the inside. Iyan ay totoong-totoo when it comes to the phenomenology of words spoken and words listened to, heard, being heard properly. Kaya, in this context, my dear brother priest, ang tanong ko ay, how far have we really drifted away from that ancient Augustinian insight that the Word of God is a sacrament? We seem to be so far away that it is impersonal to us. But then, is that to be wondered at, considering that of the 7 sacraments, we can also manifest the same impersonality? That is why we can administer the sacrament of baptism automatically, perfunctorily. There is a word in English that for me is very powerful, and if it is used for us, is a condemnation. Perfunctionem, perfunctory, meaning, trabaho lang, walang personalan dito. Panginoon ko, yung paboritong sabihin ng mga Pilipino, trabaho lang pa ito, walang personalan, is damning when it comes to the priest in his ministry. Because for the priest, hindi pwedeng gawain lang ito, trabaho lang ito, walang personalan, wala dito ang pagkatao ko, hindi ako concerned, hindi ako involved, mahalaga, basta mapinigyan, malista, at nagbayad. Yun. Perfunctionem, perfunctory. Kung tayo sa mga sakramento ay nagiging perfunctory, hindi magiging katakataka na sa salita ng Diyos, tayo perfunctory din. At ang problema nga ay ang buong sacramental structure ay magkukulapse. Bakit? Sapagkat faith is ex audito, and without faith, nothing has meaning.